Hi, I'm John Storms, and what I'm going to do today is I'm going to do a quick tutorial on how to sequence music for the Light-O-Rama. So what you do is and this is assuming this is the first song you've ever sequenced. So the first thing you do is you open up the Light-O-Rama sequence editor, which is part of the S3 software suite, and you have the option of a new musical sequence or a new animation sequence. The main difference between the two is the musical sequence is aligned to a song, and animation sequences are not. Animation sequences can do loops, new musical sequences you can't. And that's the main difference. So you click OK, and the first thing it's going to ask you for is for a song file. So in this case, I do Batman Smells. Now your song files typically will be MP3 files. You can do waves, but they're a lot bigger. And you want those to be 128 bits constant bit rate. That will give you the best results. So it asks you for the author of the sequence, and you put yourself in. It imports the metadata from the MP3 file, and then you can do channel setup. So I'm just going to say, for starters, I'm going to say I want two channels for Beat Wizard, 2 for background, 2 for foreground, 2 for vocal, and then 1 for other stuff. So we'll call that 9. Now this is doing the first song. After you do your first song, then you'll use a save channel configuration template, but that comes later. And then for initial timing, I typically choose the Beat Wizard. Beat Wizard's good, but it's not perfect. And then you click OK. And see here, you can do a little preview. Jingle bells, Batman. Okay, you can do the entire song, part of the song. The reason you want to do part of the song is if the timing throughout the song changes. Like let's say it starts off as 4/4, moves to 3/4, that sort of thing. The Beat Wizard has trouble with that, so you might break it up. But for this, we'll just do it like this, and I'll just say apply and exit. See, now I got little lines across here representing the timings for the song. Some neat things you can do is you come up here and you can say show me the waveform, and you can see the waveform for the music. Not that it helps very much. The other thing that's handy is here you can make the columns a little narrower, or you can make them wider. For this part of it, I usually keep them pretty narrow, and then on the side here you can collapse or make that bigger to make it readable. I'm going to keep it fairly big. Okay, so let me drag this out. On this side, these are all of your channels. Okay, this is the timing. Some cool things you can do here. You can grab this and highlight it, which is easy if you're trying to see things going up and down. That's something people sometimes miss. The other thing is if you're doing fades, initially when you put them on like this, if you have this button, it will show it as a fade, but I find that hard to see, so I usually keep it as a wedge. Okay, so let's get started. Now, the way I like to organize my songs is I usually do my sequencing in 2 phases. The first phase is to break the song down. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to create several channels that I'm not actually going to use in the show. So this one I'm going to call Beat Wizard 1, and I pick out some Christmassy colors for it. And then for device type, I say no device selected. So this is essentially a null channel. This is a channel that is not mapped to any device. That means we're using it for our own purposes to help us organize the music, but it is not actually going to show up in the show. That's phase 2. Okay, so I have 2 for Beat Wizard. Now what I like to do for the Beat Wizard is I just like to do this. On, off, like that. Okay, and then what you can do to save yourself some time. Now you can do this in that initial Beat Wizard wizard, but I'm lazy and I do it like this. And you'll find there's lots of ways to sequence. A lot of it is a matter of taste. Now if I do something wrong, like you see I do that before, if you hit Control Z, it will undo, and you use that a lot. So Control Z for undo is a very important feature. Okay, so now I have a bunch. I'll select it again. Whoops, don't want to select it all the way. See, this is my select tool. Copy, paste, lots of copying and pasting. And up to here you can see that the waveform finished off. Now I don't want to keep my Beat Wizard going for this where the song tails off. So over here, and this is another very handy tip, as you come over to play range, and you can say play the full sequence. So every time you hit play, it's going to play the whole thing. Play selection, which means just play the part I have highlighted. Play from where I'm at right now, or play to where I'm at right now, or play the visible screen. From selection and selection are the ones I use the most. So I can play from here. I hit the play button. See, so I don't really have any beat going on from this point on. So I'm just going to wipe those out. Okay. Okay, so that's my beat wizard. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up, I call it scratch, but I should call it effect. And what I use this for is if there's weird little things in the song, like a twang, or a bong, or a bang, and a lot of times these are the fun things in a song, like in Gummy Bear, there's the pop. And I use these to represent that in the song. So what these I'm doing is I'm going to be breaking the song down into its elements. Just like music class, they say, can you hear the foreground? Can you hear the background? So here I'm going to say this is back one. More Christmassy colors. No device. And usually I find for each element having two is important, like background. My daughter tells me that there's this thing called the downbeat, which I have a hard time hearing. So I have two of these, no device. And then I do two for foreground. No device. So if you're a programmer, or if you've done programming in the past, setting up these channels without devices is kind of like, it's almost like commenting your code, where you have internal comments where you're giving hints to yourself. Now, one of the really nice benefits of this is that if you decide to radically change your display, or you move, or you want to share your sequencing with other people, having all this information about how the song is broken down up front makes it a lot easier to apply it to a new configuration down the road. So if I move, I still have my song broken up, and then I just decide how I want to apply it to the way the new house is looking. And then this is vocal. So I do two for the vocals. And sometimes you need more, but usually if you need more, then one of the others isn't being used very much, and you can reuse one of those. Okay, let me just double check. Yep, no device. Okay, so now basically I have, all these channels, and they're not mapped to anything, but what they're being used for is they're being used for the song. So the next step is, of course, you want to save it. So I'm going to call this tutorial 1. Yeah, I'm going to replace that. I tried this once before. I didn't like how it turned out. Okay, so now what I want to do is I want to kind of map it out high level. So I know this song has, some singing, and so what I want to do first is kind of map out where the singing is, get the general beat, and then I'll start getting the little ins and outs. Okay, so this is kind of a high level first pass. So let me play it. Okay, so right here is where he starts singing. So I'm going to map that. I used a shimmer to tell me that this is high level. I haven't really broken it down very much, but this is kind of where the singing starts.
Jingle bells, Batman smells, Robin laid an egg.
Okay, and it went to there. Now, if you know the words, sing along. All right.
Laid an egg.
The Batmobile lost a wheel and the Joker got away.
The Batmobile
lost a wheel and the Joker got away. Hey! See, the singing is extra entertainment at no extra charge. Okay.
Away, hey!
All right, so you see, gonna fine tune it a little bit.
Hey, jingle bell.
And then he starts right back up there. So let me go back a little bit, make sure I got it right.
Hey, jingle bells, Batman smells, Robin laid an egg.
An egg. Okay, advance it a little bit so I can see where I'm going. Now, if there's somebody else who's singing, I could, put them in the vocal too. And sometimes, there's a duet, they sing at the same time, or they sing different parts, and you could go back and forth. But this one just has the one person singing.
Laid an egg.
And then you start singing in this one. Now, let me go to play selection, okay? Because I want you to hear something. I'm going to expand this out. When I play this, you notice that he starts singing at the end. So another thing I do at this stage, I'm trying to get the timing right. So what I can do there, instead of moving the timer, I can hit right-click on this column, I come down here, and you can't see it because it's going off the bottom of the screen, but I select subdivide timings. And I say subdivide this into 2 timings. See that? And then what I can do is I can say, well, see this one, and I see I put that there, I didn't want it, Control Z, it's gone. I can say, see? And then I go back to this one, no sound. See? So now I can come over here, I delete the sound out of there, and now I have just fine-tuned it a little bit. Okay? And so that is in my timing grid. You see over here? There's my timing grid, freeform. Okay. So now I go back, play from
The Batmobile
lost the wheel and the Joker got away. There. Stop. Okay. Okay, so he's saying all the way through there. See, so I'm getting the high level. This is where, okay, this is where the guy is singing. Let me just make sure I got it right. Yep, so he's saying there, okay. Now, so I got that part done. Now, if you notice, like right here, see, I got, okay, first of all, you know, you can hear the twinkling and it dies off. So now that twinkling, I consider, that's not really a background foreground, so I consider that to be an effect. So I'll just map that out like that, because that's twinkling. And for effect, I kind of pick shimmer, if it's kind of like a snare or a bang, and twinkling stuff I usually do like this. Okay, so that, and again, I'm just mapping it out high level here. Okay, for the record, I hate the little tool that slides out. It always seems to slide out at inappropriate times. Okay, so let's get the beginning here.
Jingle bells back.
Okay, so right here we get boom, boom, booms, 1, 2, 3. Now, here the waveform actually helps us a little bit, because we can see boom, boom, boom. Now, if you look, you can tell we're a little off here. See that? So now I come up to here and I say, well, that's definitely a foreground. Boom, boom, boom. Now, when I'm doing notes like this, I like to use the fade out on the notes, and you'll see a lot of people do that. And it's a very common way of doing it. Some people will do like a full block, but how do you get so the lights turn off in between? And this is a nice, easy way to do that. So now, if I want to check to make sure my timing is right, and that's a very important part of this initial stage, is I select 2, and I should hear 2 beats.
Jingle bells back.
But to do that right, I have to come and say selection. And I come here and I go beat, beat. Oh, I heard 3 beats. Let me come over here and just do 1. I heard 1 and then the other one. Let me move the speakers around just to make sure you guys can hear that. Let me turn it up. Let me see, is that turned up? Okay. See? So if you can't hear it, I hear, and then at the very end of that note, that cell, I hear another beat. So I just drag this timing line over a little bit, and I play it again. See? That's how you get perfect timing in your songs. And if people are going to be critical of your songs, a lot of times that's what they'll do. Beat Wizard's good, it's not perfect. See? So each one of these, I should only hear 1. See that? I heard a little bit of vocal. That means this one's up a little bit too. Okay, still a little too much. Drag it over a little bit more. Okay, so if I do 2 at a time, I should hear 2. 1, 2. 1, 2. See that? Now that one I just barely heard the guy starting, so let me just drag it ever so slightly over, and there we go. Now when you play it, the other thing you can do is you can watch over here on the side, because these guys will light up as the song is playing. And you can look at it to see if it looks right. That looked pretty good. I save all the time. Okay, now let's see. The next thing I like to do at the beginning is I like to try to get any the general beat down. And so this is a little tricky for me. So let me listen here.
Jingle bells back.
Okay, so it doesn't really start until I get into the beginning of the song here.
Jingle bells, Batman's.
Okay, now if you hear that, it kind of goes bong, 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 up, down, down. So I'm going to use up, down, in my background channels.
Jingle bells, Batman's.
Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my fade down and see that? Bing, bong, bing, bong, bing, bong. And we'll see how close that is, how that looks. I select my select tool. Oh, can't fell out again. There we go. Okay.
Jingle bells, Batman smells Robin.
Okay, that's too fast. I did something wrong. Okay, so it's not up, down, it goes.
Jingle bells, Batman smells Robin.
Okay, so it's like this. Up, down, See? Now what I'll do next is I'll listen to see how far that goes into the future, and I'll just copy and paste that. So I say play from here, and I'm going to listen for that bing bong back and forth and see how long it goes for.
Jingle bells, Batman smells Robin laid an egg.
Okay, it didn't go very long because I got that dun 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 right about here.
Egg, the Batmobile.
Alright, so now to capture that, I come over here, go to play, select. See, you use that play feature a lot. So it's not that first cell. Okay, so I know it starts here. See, I'll use this little highlight feature. Doesn't do anything for it, but it's just for your eye. Okay, so I get that last beat here. You see, he didn't start singing that first one, so I'm going to do this thing where I subdivide the timings again. I'm going to subdivide that into 2 timings. Whoops, not that one. Control Z. Oh no, that was the right one. Okay. So he doesn't start singing on this one, so I'm going to delete that. And then it is bong, bong, bong. Okay. Play. And I'm watching it over on the side where it says 4 here, see if it looks right.
Laid an egg, the Batman.
I think I hear 4.
Laid an egg, the Batman.
I did. What it is that this note and that note are really the same thing. So what I'm going to do, this is for me to understand. This is a guide for myself for the next step. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave this here, but I'm also going to leave it in the foreground. Why? Because it's easier for me. If it's easier for you to do it a different way, that's fine. This isn't like you're going to present this at Carnegie Hall. This is so you can do your next thing. So I'm going to leave it there because it's a little easier for me. Okay. Slide it over a little bit. Okay, so I play from here. Oops. See, I'm on that other mode. From.
The Batmobile lost the wheel.
Alright, so now we're back to doing our little up-down thing. So let me figure out where that starts.
The Batmobile.
I think it goes like this. Yeah, I'm going to narrow these guys up a little bit just so I don't have to keep moving the window around.
Batmobile lost the wheel and Joker got away. Hey!
Okay, it keeps going. Now, if you listen, there was a cool thing that happened. Didn't play it.
Joker got away.
Is it this one? I heard a little snare drum.
No.
Yep, little snare right there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a special. Now I'm going to make sure, see if the snare was before that. No. Snare after that? Nope. Let's see. So now I go back, play, range.
Got away. Hey, jingle bells, Batman smells Robin laid an egg.
See, and I heard another double beat.
Smells Robin laid an egg.
See, that one sounded like a double beat. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to subdivide that into 2. Now I could call it a snare, but I'm pretty sure I heard 2 beats there. And again, it's how you want to represent it.
And smells Robin laid an egg. The Batmobile lost the wheel and the Joker got away.
Okay, now here's a good spot where, here's a good spot where we'll look at the vocals a little bit, because here the vocals make a difference. You know, some songs, you got to figure what you're going to focus on. Sometimes it's the foreground effect that's really cool, or sometimes it's a really cool background beat. You might want to apply them to different elements sometimes, but in this part of the song, the vocals play a big role.
Joker got away.
See, so I want to represent that. So here, I think I hear a ha-ha, and it tailed off a little bit past where I had it. So let me double check and make sure I got it right. Okay. And then there's a really long fade. Looks like it starts right about here. Now let me double check that. See, I'm kind of working my way backwards through it. Now a lot of times on those long fades, if it's a vocal, what I'll do is I'll do this. And then where he's holding it, and then I'll do a shorter fade like that. Otherwise, especially with LEDs, you fade out and you'll have too much time dark.
The Batmobile lost the wheel and the Joker got. Lost the wheel and the Joker.
Okay, so here I got the Joker. Let me see if it's too long, too short.
Joker got.
Oh yeah. Whoops. Control Z. Okay.
Joker got away.
Got it. Yeah, let me see how that looks. Now when I'm testing it, I'm kind of watching where it is in the timing, but I'm also watching this little vocal window here to see how it lights up, if it looks right.
Joker got away.
And that looked pretty good. Okay, so there you kind of get the general idea. So let me save this. But let me do this. I'm going to do like Julia Childs does with the cooking show, and I'm going to kind of whip out the version that's already done. So let me go find my Batman Smells sequence. And see here, I already did it for myself. And it's a little bit different than what I showed, but the order is pretty much the same. The idea is the same. You see, in some of this, I don't even I don't bother to necessarily like for the vocals. I do the parts that are important, but I don't do every last thing unless it's something I really think I'm going to focus the song on. So let me copy that. You see how easy this is if I want to copy it from one song to the next. I come into here. Now let me show you something about paste. Okay, if I do a straight up paste, see that? If you got to be careful because there's a couple of paste modes. So I can say paste by cell, paste by time, stretch to fit, paste from foreground. Paste from foreground, what that means is if I'm pasting something in, if I have this unchecked, it's going to paste in the empty space as well. If I turn that on and then I do a paste, it's going to not paste in the dead stuff. So if I have stuff there before, it's going to layer what I'm pasting on top of it and then do it like that. So it's important that you have the timing right, which means you got to have the exact same song. Okay, and this looks pretty close. So let me paste it and we'll play it and we'll see how it looks over here on this side.
Jingle bells, Batman smells, Robin laid an egg. The Batmobile lost the wheel and Joker.
Let me just make sure I got it right.
Laid an egg. The Batmobile lost the wheel.
No, it's not right. Hang on.
Jingle bells, Batman smells, Robin laid an egg.
Okay. Now the reason why it didn't go right is you're like, wow, you know, this looks wrong. So let me hit Control-Z and go back. The thing is I did it by cell, and if I split up the timings a little different, or the beat wizard interpreted a little differently, it's going to mess it up. So you go, oh, well, what am I going to do? Well, I'm going to paste by time. It's the same exact song, so this should work. So now let me paste this in. Okay, now let's see how it goes.
Jingle bells, Batman smells, Robin laid an egg. The Batmobile lost the wheel and Joker got away. Hey! Jingle bells, Batman smells, Robin laid an egg. The Batmobile lost the wheel and the Joker got away.
Okay, much better. Okay, so that's how you do that. Now let me pull up my other version and show you some of the things that we did, because this is a very simplified tutorial. Okay, so this is the big one. Let me pull it out, get it lined up here. Okay, now when I'm looking at this sequence, what I have, this is my first track. I call it my master track. When you're doing this the first year, it doesn't matter. You can add, remove stuff as much as you want. But as soon as you're done, and this is your configuration for the year, anytime you make changes, if you're going to add a channel, you always add it to the bottom. You don't add it to the top, you add it to the bottom every time. When you do next year's configuration and you want to take an old song and apply it to the new configuration, it's going to look in this master track and map in order the channels to what's here. Then all the other tracks, it will do fine. Okay, so it's important to remember that the master track, your first track, you never insert anything in the middle after your first year. Okay, so what is a track? A track is just it's different views of the same data. So this is my master track. I have one where I have things in order. I have one that I use for doing things horizontally, one for tricks, one for my cactus, and so on. But they're different views of the same thing. Okay, now what I've done here is that, so in phase one, I got the breakdown the way I like it, and the timing the way I like it. So, you know, let me go through and see if there's anything I want to highlight here.
Jingle bells, Batman smells, Robin laid an egg. The Batmobile lost the wheel and Joker got away. Hey! Jingle bells, Batman smells, Robin laid an egg. The Batmobile lost the wheel and the Joker got away.
Okay, now if you were listening, you heard in here, there were places like you could hear a little jingle bell in the background, and if I really wanted to, I could have like dedicated one of the foreground channels to that. But if it's not something you're focusing your song on, it doesn't make a difference. What you want to avoid is you don't want to turn your Christmas display into a beatbox. Okay, you know, you want to represent the song, but you don't necessarily have to represent every element. Now, some things that deviate a little bit, like if you listen to this part here, let me make sure I'm in play from. See here I did, you know, the twinkling, but really the twinkling gets broken up into sections. You can hear it fade away. So, see, so I represented that in the show. Okay, now it's not a simple copy and paste down to here. This is a representation of the breakdown. But when you go and you apply it to your show, what you want to do is you want to figure out, well, what effect do I want to do? Okay, and you know, here's all the different elements of my show. So let me show you how I have these laid out. I'm going to go to tricks. This is the one I work in the most. I'll come back to what these are. These are groups. Okay, first thing I have is I have my trees laid out. Okay, so here I have my trees, and so during the initial phase, where, you know, let's play it from here. So boom, boom, boom. So what I'm doing is I'm lighting up the trees in sections, and I'm fading them in. And then where it goes bing, bong with the beat, I'm alternating between red, white, and then here you can see I have them all lit, and then it's doing that 4-beat step down, doon, 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 and I have the lights going out. But as they're going, the white lights are going out, the red lights are coming on, and then the red lights stay on. See that? So let me go back here. Now, if you want to see it better, you click on this button. This is your visualizer. I call this the S2 visualizer because it was, in the S2 software. There's a visualizer that came with S3. It runs in a separate application, but I like this one better. So what you do is once you have, channels mapped to, real channels mapped to devices, you can come in here and draw everything. And then from here, you play it.
Jingle bells, Batman smells.
And you can see how it looks as it goes. So let me go to the very beginning.
Jingle bells, Batman smells, Robin laid an egg.
Okay, let me do it again. This time focus, we were looking at, the start, how we did it with the trees and how we mapped it over. If you look at this, you can see that when I mapped it over, you can see what I did with the trees.
Jingle bells, Batman smells, Robin laid an egg.
See? That easy. Okay? So that's kind of, the spirit of what we want to do with phase 2. So what I'll do is we'll stop this video here because that's kind of the phase 1, the breakdown, and then I'll do phase 2, which is applying the, doing the actual channels. So we'll get those set up and we'll get the visualizer set up and go through that piece. Okay, so we'll call this part done.